Back in 2005, Audi announced that it was going to build a mid-engine supercar. And those of us who reported on the motor industry at the time had a bit of a titter. We realised that Audi had finally overstepped itself, that its ambition had got the better of its ability. Which just goes to show how wrong you can be. The R8 was launched and it was a huge success, not just in terms of its sales, but the effect that it had on people's perception of the whole Audi brand. Well, now they've done another, and this, the R8 V10 Plus, is it. Now, I know it doesn't look very different, but it is. Its 5.2 litre V10 engine now has 542 horsepower, which is 24 horsepower more than it did before. Moreover, it's 50 kilograms lighter, it's got completely new suspension on it, and perhaps most importantly, the old flappy paddle robotised manual gear shift has been replaced by a proper double clutch transmission. It changes gear so fast, Audi says this car will now reach 62 miles an hour in 3.5 seconds flat. Now that's only a couple of tenths of what a McLaren F1 used to do. So I think I've done enough talking, and what we need to do now is get in the car, get out there onto the circuit and see if what sounds fantastic in theory is actually that good in practice. When you start to drive the car very fast, the driving experience becomes dominated by that engine and given its power output. I guess that's probably what you would expect. But if you drove, let us say, a V8 R8 with a manual gearbox, that's not the way that it comes across. The handling of that car is every bit as impressive as the punch of the engine. It is, to me, perhaps a slightly more complete car like this. This car is so dominated by the engine, it is so fast in a straight line, and that almost becomes the experience. It almost clouds the fact that it is also, at the same time, an exceptional handling car. To me, I would always prefer to drive the V8 because it's got less weight in the back, and because I think the balance between power and chassis ability is a little bit more even. But obviously the really big news about this particular car, the V10 Plus S-tronic, is this new gearbox. Now it looks exactly the same, you've still got the flappy paddles, but it's a completely different sort of transmission. It's a standard double clutch transmission, whereas the previous automatic R8 in either V8 or V10 form had a robotised manual gearbox. So it had a manual gearbox, but it was just operated by the paddles. And that was a really, I'm afraid, pretty horrible gearbox. This is amazing. It makes your life very easy. The shifts are so quick you effectively can't discern a period of time when you're not in a gear. So it makes the car easier to drive, certainly an awful lot quicker. You don't get that jolt that you get in the old car when you hit a paddle. That said, it's still not a fully interactive experience. I'm rather old school. I will always, in almost any car, rather have 3 pedals and a conventional stick shift. And this one is no different. I just like the idea of mechanically changing gear. It makes me feel more involved with the driving experience. And while this is probably as good a paddle shift transmission as you can get in a car like this, I'd still rather have a nice exposed gate, proper gear shift and a clutch. Strange thing about driving this R8 around Goodwood is you look at the raw numbers, the 542 horsepower in particular, 3.5 seconds to 60 miles an hour, and you think it's just going to be an animal. You think it's just going to take off and be this barely controllable beast. In fact, it's quite the reverse. It doesn't actually feel that quick round here. And it's only when you look down at the speedometer and see some barely recognisable number there that you actually realise that this car is so capable, so competent, so good at making your life as a driver easy, that you are capable of circulating a track like this at ridiculous speeds and barely even realise it. What Audi has done with this car is made it even better, all those things that the R8 was always very good at. It's not only a lot quicker, but crucially, it's a lot easier to drive too, particularly with the new double shift gearbox. Now, I've been driving it around this track at Goodwood, and anybody who knows how quickly cars go around here will be surprised to know that without really trying, in fact I didn't even know I was being timed, it was doing 1 minute 27 second laps. Now you could probably do a 25 if it mattered to you, and yet you sit in the car and there's no drama, it's just really relaxing and easy to drive. And on the one hand, that's slightly disappointing because you want a car to be thrilling and exciting, and it's not that, but on the other, if you're going to use this car, as people will, as an everyday weapon to go about their daily business on motorways and in towns, but also wanting a car that will come here and do that sort of thing, it's really, really very hard to think of anything else at all that could beat it.